First of all, you've launched a new venture capital fund to invest up to $1 billion over the next 5 years. What are your goals for this?
Well, because, you know, we have so many things to do for the next 6 years, which is about the transformation of the car. And I don't think we can do it alone. I think we're going to need a lot of innovation and creativity coming from startups, or also support coming from partners. And we think that the way we are organized today is not sufficient. That's why we came with a new organization, additional organization, which is a corporate venture capital with investments up to $200 million a year for the next midterm plan, which adds up to more than $1 billion, in order to support our effort transforming the car into electric, autonomous, and connected product.
VC investing just hit the highest levels since the US .com boom, $84 billion deployed into startups last year. You know, how much competition is there out there to develop and deploy the kind of technology that you are trying to develop?
Oh, there is a lot of technology out there. That means I can see it. I'm receiving a lot of people. I'm hearing a lot of ideas. Now we have to be very careful, because there are a lot of very interesting ideas. How many of them are going to survive? How many of them are going to be able to be really implemented, executed at a reasonable price that consumers are willing to pay? This is where the challenge is. Now, when we're talking about $1 billion over the midterm plan, let's not forget that the Alliance will be investing $50 billion for all the technological development. So 1 billion over 50 billion is about 2 or 3% of our overall effort, which put it in its context.
Where is Nissan in its autonomous car development? I mean, will you really be reading or scanning people's brains to help them control their cars?
Yeah, well, today in terms of autonomous drive, what we have already launched on the market, it's our ProPilot system. ProPilot system means autonomous car on a one-lane highway. That's what we are selling today. We are today leading the pack between car makers. We sold more than 75,000 cars with this option today, which is a paying option. And we are intending to continue to go into this path, which means evolving autonomous drive, not only one-lane highway by multi-lane highway, then driving into the city, then the robo-taxis. It's a race, but it's a race not only about prototypes, but particularly a race about how much can we really mass market at a reasonable cost this technology.
So will you really be reading people's brains and using that to help them drive their cars?
Yeah, well, this is, I think, an illustration about the fact that this is not only about autonomous driving, which means that the driver drive whenever he wants, he can let the car drive for him whenever he wants, but also that the car is going to help the driver be a better driver. That's what we call enhanced driving. So what we want is, on top of the autonomous drive, add what we call enhanced driving experience, where the car helps the driver be a better driver, avoid risk, be much safer, and optimize the driving experience. That's what we're talking about.
So when do you think we'll have fully autonomous cars on the road, and how will people use them?
Oh, I think it's going to be down the road within the next 4 years. I'm talking about mass marketing here. I'm not talking about having prototypes ready for use, because we already have prototypes working very well. It may take 3 to 4 years before the regulation allows this to be mass marketed, before we make sure that the system is totally robust in any conditions. So I would say 2021, 2022.
Wow, that's soon. So how do you see U.S. tax reform impacting auto demand? Do you think there will be a shift towards the luxury segment?
Oh, I think this obviously support activity and support spending and support consumption, which means that I think this is going to be good for the auto industry in general. And the fact particularly that the support and the incentives for zero-emission cars have been maintained is also very good news for the development of the electric cars. So I'm seeing it very positively as a business person.
What are you hearing out of NAFTA negotiations? Do you think that there can be a deal that won't raise the price of cars significantly?
You know, it's very difficult to predict. I think in this field, we have to be prudent, watch carefully what's going on, try as much as possible, give the different policy makers data and facts in order for them to make the best decision for their own country, whatever we're talking about, obviously the United States, but also about Mexico. That's what car makers can do, just make sure that the revision of the policy is in the best interest of the different parties.
Business Week once wrote a story that if Davos were a person, it would be Carlos Ghosn. President Trump has now announced that he'll be attending Davos. What do you make of the president attending this decidedly global event, preaching America first?
No, I think it was going to be extremely interesting. I think Davos is first a place where many people meet to discuss about important subjects that matter for countries and that matter for people. And the more people participate, particularly people with high power level, the more interesting it is and the more it gives meaning to Davos. So I welcome this opportunity to hear from the president in Davos.
Your term as the head of the alliance ends in June. There are reports you'll stay on as chairman. What can you tell us about the succession plan? What kind of person might replace you and what your plans are?
Look, I don't think we are yet there, but everything will be announced in time. And there will be a lot of continuity when it comes to driving the alliance and driving the three companies together.
Okay, so last question. Nissan narrowed its gap with Honda to 50,000 cars. Can you catch them in 2018, and how?
No, I don't think we are at a race, at this level. I think we are more in a long-term strategy where it consists to bring the best car possible on the market and let the market decide exactly who deserves what. I think the alliance today between the three car manufacturers is at the top level of the industry. We're going to have ups and downs like everybody else, but we have without any doubt a strategy which is an offensive strategy and the growth strategy.